Are we live?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Well, good evening everybody. Welcome to our Monday night live at the Cat Emporium. It's 7 p.m. British summertime, which is excellent. So that means like summer weather is on its way, which we're pretty happy about. Although it can mean sometimes like slightly sleepy cats. For example, Rodney. So they're all a bit snoozy today. But hopefully as we carry on, they might wake up and come out. Sometimes we find that after the live stream has been going for a little while, we get a bit more cat interest, so fingers crossed. We thought today we might actually talk about what's been going on with our cats. I was going to say, oh, look, Victor's there, because everyone always asks for Victor, but he's licking his bum, so not his best angle. But yeah, we have been sort of talking quite a lot about our cats at the moment, because as many of you know, we've been discussing Teddy, so in our last live stream we mentioned that he wasn't quite settling as well as we wanted. But overnight after that live stream, he literally flipped the other way and then seemed actually quite confident and gregarious. But along with that, there's been some subsequent changes to his behaviour, which have affected the other cats. So today we thought it would be a good opportunity just to talk about the things that we're doing to manage it, the things that we're seeing, because we do think that like quite a few people who have multiple cats in their household might go through the same kind of thing. And also we want to be honest about the issues we experience because it's helpful to share. Did you see a comment or something there?
A cat licking his bum is always the best angle.
It's always the most frequent angle, so like, you may as well enjoy it because that's what you're going to get. So yeah, also Laura's joining me, she's behind the camera today. She's not feeling very well, so please be gentle. Don't ask too many questions too quickly. And please bear with her if she starts coughing or sneezing or has a low nose.
Sorry.
But yeah, if you're not feeling great now, just give me the camera and I can
No worries.
cat cam. So yeah, well, should we take a walk and see if anybody's up and at 'em? Also today we have upgraded our internet, so we put like an extra, I say we, it was Steve, it wasn't me, I did nothing. We put like an extra device that does something, that I probably should know, but it just should boost the signal in like dead zones. So hopefully, fingers crossed, as you go down the stairs, it will actually be good. But this is our dead zone, so if it drops out, sorry.
Sabine says on the plus side, Victor isn't snoozing.
Yeah, he's awake.
Which is.
That is progress. We got some lively guys. We have Wendy, we have Tink, we have Dorian. That's about it. After a Monday, they might be a bit tired. Tink, what are you doing? Okay, this is actually a good example of what we've been talking about. If there is someone in here, Cecil, mate. Tink has been misbehaving. Which is quite unusual because in the past, I mean, I don't know about you, Laura, but I've never really seen Tink as a bullying character.
No, she's usually quite easygoing.
Yeah, and you can even see from her behaviour at the moment, she's like staring at Cecil, who is in this tray here. And this is really, really new behaviour for Tink. This isn't something that we've seen until maybe the last fortnight, maybe 3 weeks. And one of the factors that we're considering is because there has been quite a lot of change in the colony in the past sort of month or 2 months. The first was a little bit older than that. Around December, we took on the trotters, so Delboy, Cassandra, and Rodney. They're quite energetic cats, and they're quite interested in play and play fighting. And then we also brought in Teddy, but at the same time, we rehomed Donnie, Wookie, and Carbonell. So what we're starting to see is like this is stalking behaviour, and it's not really what we want to see out of Tink. But there seems to be a shift in the balance of the group. So with Tink behaving like this, we think it has a little bit to do with the fact that Wookie and Donnie aren't here anymore, and they were very sort of like peacekeeping personalities within the group. So we've been noticing Cecil in particular, who is very good friends with Donnie, and I think was pretty good with Wookie. I don't know if you see the same thing as I do.
Yeah, he loves Wookie.
Yeah, so those boys used to kind of all hang together.
And Donnie, he loved Donnie.
He loved Donnie. And Cecil's quite a gentle-natured cat, so we're starting to see some of the more lively cats giving him a bit of a hard time. I would have put Tink in the incredibly improbable group because she's always been so chill and laid back, but her behaviour has dramatically changed just over the past couple of weeks. So we're looking at a few different things to try and work it out with them. One of the first things is we need to try and isolate which cats are being affected and how they're being affected. So we see through Cecil, through his body language, that he's not quite as happy. But also he has developed a habit which he's never had before, which he's let us know that he's a bit unhappy by peeing on some rugs, which isn't like him. So we're trying to just keep an eye on when it happens, if there's certain cats that trigger it, and once we can kind of identify a bit more data, then we're going to know how we can best help him out. We have also been looking at factors. So if you do have a cat that's like soiling where it shouldn't, we look at things like if there could be a medical reason for it. So if they have cystitis, we look at their water intakes, and if they do pee on something, the size of the pee. And we look for other symptoms, like if they go in and out of a tray quite a lot and they're not using it fully, because that's often an indication that something else could be wrong. So we've sort of ruled those out for Cecil, and we think it's behavioural and it's getting picked on a little bit more than we would like. Has anybody asked a question?
Not that I could see.
So that's one of the first things is we do. We rule out any potential medical condition, and we also do observation just to see what the relationships are between cats. Laura has these like really complex behavioural diagrams where we model. They're really, really impressive. they took you forever. But they sort of model the relationships between cats. So, for example, you might have Victor, and then you might have Tink, and Victor's relationship towards Tink might be very positive, so it could be green, but Tink's relationship towards Victor, or her sort of behaviour towards him, could be maybe a bit more neutral, so we'd make that like orange, and if it's negative, it would be red. And so we'd make it red if it was something like we'd seen her staring him down or doing things that we don't like to see in cat behaviour. She's still being a bit naughty. So we try and keep track of what's normal for all of our cats, and when we start to see patterns that deviate from that, then we start to intervene. So once we've ruled out medical, once we've ruled out like sort of habitual relationships, we also then look at doing things to sort of distract them, and that's the main thing. So unfortunately right now, because Laura's helping me, she can't do her usual distraction technique, which is actually just playtime. For most of our cats, they have so much energy and they need to just get it out of their system that playtime solves a lot of problems. But I'm holding up Lara, so I'll probably keep this live stream a bit shorter today because I want her to have the time she needs to play with the cat.
Susan is asking if we think Tink will calm down.
I think Tink will calm down, yeah. I'm more interested in Teddy.
Peter,
yeah. Peter is, he's always like a little bit difficult. So he had a bit of a bullying situation between him and Biscuit, which ended up resulting in actually, we decided the best thing for Biscuit was to let her go. Plus she'd also sort of reached retirement age too. But he does have, I mean, he's beautiful, but he's got a bit of a mean streak. He's like, he's like one of the beautiful mean people. So we do have to watch him sometimes with other cats, but it's fairly infrequent, I would say. Like, I don't feel like he has a real aggression problem, but sometimes once he gets it in his mind,
it's just against specific cats, and it's weird, not against everyone.
Not against everyone. He does get along with pretty much all the cats, but he has his moments. Tink, I think, will settle down. I think what we often find in our group is if one cat sort of changes their behaviour, all the other cats will change in one way or another. And I think Tink is responding to the activity that's around her, but I don't really think she's an instigator, like a key aggressor. She's sort of going along with it a bit.
Yeah.
Laura's nodding. Yeah. Is there another one? You look like maybe there was another.
No, Sabine is just saying Victor probably only has green marks. He does, yeah.
So I'm gonna move because in classic cat sort of ways, I'm standing here chatting to you in front of a litter tray, and they've decided to use just this one litter tray out of the many litter trays in the cafe. So I'll probably move on so we don't hear him.
Oh, it's Teddy, isn't it?
It's Teddy.
Yay! Hi, Teddy.
He's a mischief maker, mate.
Hi, Teddy.
So yeah, Teddy sort of has come out of his shell quite a lot, but he's come out of his shell in a really big way, and he's demonstrated some quite aggressive behaviour. We find him and the other new guys just are so much more interested in play than we can keep up with. So one of the other things we're doing to manage this is we are looking at bringing in some of our friends to come and give extra playtime at night time, because the cat carers have a lot of duties, they do a lot of cleaning, they do a lot of note taking, and it's quite hard for them to actually play with all the cats. Plus, they only have one pair of hands. So as soon as one toy is in action, every other cat piles in, and usually it's only the very dominant cats that get that playtime that they need. So what we will do is we try and add extra people to play with, who will engage them in very high energy play. Hey, what's up, Teddy?
Hey, Teddy.
So it's a bit different from customers. I think when guests come to visit us, they're dining, they would like to stroke some cats, they tend to have a much more sort of relaxed vibe, so we bring people in who will get the cats really running around and kind of get them a bit tired, because that seems to really help in terms of behaviour management, is giving them that one-on-one play that they really need. I'd say also there's an element of bonding to it. I think, I don't know if you, I really feel that when I play with the cats, they have a greater bond with me, and it means more to them to play with someone that they have a bond with.
Yeah.
So it's...
For example.
Tink finally
and Teddy's obviously going.
So yeah, this is something that we are currently working on. Come on, Sess. Working on resolving. But yeah, Cecil appears to be bearing the brunt of it. And one of the other things we may do is give him a little holiday. As we said before, he really loved Donnie, so I've offered already to take him to stay with Donnie and me for a little while. But we may also give him another quiet place to stay as well.
We had Paul asking, how do you decide when it's time for a cat to be rehomed?
We would look for sort of very long-term things. So at the moment we can contextualize some of the behaviours that we see with change. There's so much change, and this is an abnormal level of change for our environment. We never would ordinarily rehome 3 cats in quick succession as we've done. And I think we will probably in future stagger it a lot more than we did, because we're really seeing how much it's upset the balance of things. But when it comes to cats that will rehome, we look for consistent, persistent, everyday behaviours that indicate they're not happy. So when we felt Biscuit wasn't happy, she was withdrawing a little bit, she wasn't engaging with customers as much as she used to, she had flat body language quite a lot of the time, but we would see she would brighten up quite a bit when she was getting just one-on-one contact only with cat carers. And that sort of behaviour suggests to us that they're ready to not be in a colony anymore. And so if we see it for enough time and it's not sort of attributed to general peaks and troughs of their behaviour, like sometimes they might just not feel so well and then they perk up again after a couple of days, or sometimes it's the weather, their behaviour can change with that. So we kind of look for something that's relatively persistent, consistent and long term, and then we'll make the decision. Once we make the decision, we'll send them for a holiday, 2 or 3 weeks with someone they know that they're quite fond of, ideally if we can. And if we see a marked improvement in their behaviour outside of the cafe, then we also know that it's the right time and that we should find them a new home permanently.
I'm just seeing Sybil behind you.
Oh, a little tunnel cat. Well, shall we just walk around and talk to cats? We have actually got a few more things to cover in terms of our managing aggression between cats.
Paul says thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Sabine says, oh, poor Cecil. And then she's ready to play with Teddy if needed.
Teddy needs the most attention of all. He's so full of beans. We've been discussing it quite a bit with the cat carers, because obviously we don't want the cats to be unhappy. We want to do what we can to kind of remedy the situation for them as quickly as we can, obviously without introducing too much dramatic change, because that will only worsen things. But by and large, like the input from the cat care team is very much that Teddy just kind of wants to play a little bit too vigorously maybe, and the other cats who are a bit more used to being in the cafe just aren't really on his same vibe. They're a little bit more relaxed, they want to take it a bit more easy, and so yeah, he's just a little bit more extra than they can deal with at the moment. So
Donnie was fine with him, Obi's fine, but cats like Sybil get really offended when he tries to play with her.
Certain cats can kind of just roll with it. Like, yeah, Obi and Teddy have no problem, but I mean, Teddy will do the same behaviour towards Obi as he will do towards Cecil, but Obi is kind of, he's quite a firecracker himself, so he'll just kind of like get involved. He's happy to have a play fight and have a bit of a rumble, so I think it's just a real disconnect between energy levels between them as well. I don't think any of our cats are particularly like mean, except maybe Peter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something. Oh dear, it has continued on just that little bit too long, and we think we're going to have to do a few bit of extra things. So there's the extra playtime. There's also the extra pheromone stuff. So sometimes people notice that we have pheromones or pet remedy around a cafe. So I thought this would also be a good opportunity just to kind of talk about it, because from today we are doing a bit of a trial run of Fellow Friends, which we've never used before, and we're kind of quite interested to see what the difference is between using Fellow Classic on its own and Fellow Friends alongside it as well. We have our pet remedy ones here. So the pet remedy ones are herbal. The diffuser, yeah,
it's one.
That's the one. With this
just change it.
So yeah, those pet remedies are a herbal supplement. They're sort of made with valerian, vetiver,
basil,
and they are designed to sort of calm and soothe animals. They do have, I think, a slightly like not a fully sedative effect, but it's kind of like a cup of chamomile tea. They do tend to be a bit more chill. So we don't run them throughout the day, also because they have valerian in them, and valerian smells a bit like feet. We generally don't run them when customers are in here because it's not the most pleasant smell for humans. So that's usually off during the day, which also addresses like a small point. Sometimes we get feedback that we've drugged the cats to make them sleep more, which is like, I don't know. I want to make this cat sleep more, so no one ever. I don't know why we would want to do that. So the only thing that could maybe make them a bit more sleepy, but not that much, would be the pet remedy, but we turn it off in the day. And from today we're using, as I mentioned, Fellaway Friends. So to use Fellaway Friends, you need to have a classic Fellaway diffuser and also the Friends Fellaway diffuser plugged in, because they work together. I actually think Laura is more informed about this one than me. Do you have anything to add about what you know about it, or?
No, it's just a chemical. Yeah, I think it's a bit stronger than pet remedy, but they need to work together. We tried to use Fellaway Friends with cats that were already friends with each other. So not when we introduced new cats, and it didn't really work. But I think it's because the cats already knew each other, so they didn't need anything.
They were kind of there.
So it just changed the smell of the environment too much, and they didn't like it. But when we introduced, so it needs to be used to introduce new cats, not with existing cats.
So I had actually forgotten that we'd used it before. Sorry, I've been like talking bollocks this whole time.
For a very short period, because the cats were very aggressive, and then when we removed it, it was fine. So I think they just, I don't know, the smell was different, and they didn't like it.
I also think what's been really different this time is usually we have Donnie controlling the integration, which is like, I just can't believe what an impact he's had. And I think also Wookie never really let fights get out. He's like the bouncer of the cafe.
And also now we have so many new cats. At that time there were no new cats. We just decided to try and see how it worked. But
so it just changed the vibe. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. We'll report back in a week and see what has happened and how it works. If you don't know much about Fellaway, this is actually a synthetic pheromone. So it's they sort of take the scent markings that the pheromones from scent markings that cats leave to mark places as their own and mark them as friendly. And within the scent coding, there's like messages. I went to a presentation one time and he was saying they've been trying to decode what each of the pheromones messages mean. And I think that part of that work that they've been doing in that pheromone research has resulted in Fellaway Friends. So they're trying to sort of unpick the language of cat scent marking and pheromone marking, and try and figure out what it means and be able to use that to keep them happy. So it's not a drug either. It's a synthetic pheromone. That's pretty much it.
And it doesn't smell for us.
It doesn't smell it. I can see Laura be like, that is like not the most scientific language. It's a Monday at the end of the day. This is the best I got. Shall we see if we got any more cats up?
I've got actually Susanna asking she said that she has found that with her two cats, the behavior changes towards one another depending on whether they are indoors or outside, and if the behavior, like the aggressive behavior, changes in different areas, or it happens in specific areas, like downstairs maybe.
We have a couple of pinch points actually, which I think are where they occur. But the other thing that I kind of caveat, you'll notice that I keep asking if Laura sees the same thing. The reason is that the cats behave differently depending on who's in the room. So my interpretation of what happens in the cafe versus Laura's interpretation versus Josh's is all quite variable. So our cats don't always behave the same depending on which cat carer is here and what's going on. So there will be some scenarios where Tink will be more aggressive if a certain cat carer is on shift. Then if another cat carer is on shift, she just won't do it. So part of our cat care meetings that we have fairly regularly, that is when we can, involves trying to find out where the consistency in behaviour is, because it's not consistent. So back to your original question, which was, are there particular areas? My experience of the cats is that around the staircase is a particular area. I often see cats at the foot of the stairs staring at cats at the top of the stairs. And I think that that's a little bit of a territorial challenge. And we also find that there's a divide between which rooms some cats prefer. So I would say that the staircase is a key part of that. And it may even be that one cat may prefer one room over another because they don't want to navigate the stairs, because they don't want to get kind of sprung by another cat. We've tried to help them with that by putting in like a little escape route out the side of the staircase, so that it's not only one way, they've got an option. So if they can't get straight down the stairs because there's a cat at the end, they can go through a little side door, which does seem to help, but I don't think it completely takes away the sort of pinch pointness of that staircase. One thing we are kind of interested in is seeing if we can give them a route that leaves their window box and bring them down into the tea room, the basement this way, which is kind of probably a few months away if we get to do that. That would give them another route, but it could also just create another pinch point. So we're sort of trying to figure out if that's a good idea or not.
Susanna agrees. Blocking behavior is what she experienced too.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's one of the key things to look for more than a fight. I mean, a fight is usually the culmination of a whole lot of behaviours that have happened long before. So you'll see staring, or like we saw with Tink and Cecil, the litter tray. She was just sitting outside the litter tray. She wasn't doing anything, but she was intimidating him. And that's how they kind of start. Most cats don't actually want to have a physical fight. They just want to assert their dominance in a non-physical way. If it escalates to a fight, they'll eventually give in, but usually there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of avoiding the fight, and it's more about trying to establish that they're more dominant in other ways first. But yeah.
We just have Lindy asking if Salome is around.
Yeah, she goes.
And Sabine saying Lizzie is not on the wheel, but she has been on the wheel the whole afternoon.
She's on top of the bed.
I think the last 15 minutes she went on the wheel the whole time without stopping between 5:45 and 6. Hi, Lizzie.
She's a very good girl. Hey, Lizzie.
Hi, baby. I just brushed her teeth, so she's not
happy.
happy.
You. That'll be good.
No.
Did Dorian have her teeth brushed?
No.
No?
Hi, Dorian.
Hi, girl. Can we give you some cuddles? Oh, I know. Oh, you are beautiful. Oh, hey. No. She's so soft. Well, that's all I get. Now she's asleep. Oh, wow. Have you seen... I haven't seen Obi. He might be asleep.
Obi's by the window, big window. That's
Cassandra. Somebody did ask us if we could get Cassandra to squeak.
Oh, when she's awake, if you call her, usually she runs towards you. Hey, Cassandra. Nope.
Nope, she's not bothered.
She has played a lot this morning, apparently.
Yeah, I feel like she's quite a morning cat as well.
Yeah.
She likes to be out and about in the morning the most. Who else have we got?
No, she likes to play with paper, pieces of paper.
Cecil's in his spot.
We just need to...
Hello.
Hi, Salome. Here she is. Hi, Salome.
Hi, girl. Oh, hello. Can I give you a little cuddle? Thanks. No? Oh, hey, girl. You're such a cutie pie. A small cuddle.
I think we have
Maybe
Cecil
it'll
here.
save the attention a bit.
Cecil. He's in his cuddle.
You seem recovered from your interaction with Tink. No, poor little guy. Such a gentle nature. How are you? I see you breathing pleasantly at me. Hello. What would you like, Wendy? Does she like this toy? This is new.
Fairly new, yeah. She's sitting on it, so I don't think she understands how it works.
I wonder because Wendy sits on things she wants, or if she wants to play, she sits in the toy box. So maybe she's keen on it. Okay, Teddy. You gonna get it, Wendy? I appreciate your interest in whiskers. Hey, girl. Any new questions or?
Nope, just hi Dorian from Judith.
Who is that? Oh, Pete. Pete's doing
Oh, hi Peter.
a squeak. Hi, buddy. Did you hear a camera was on, Peter?
Too fast.
I feel like Wendy doesn't want to play with the toy, but also doesn't want to let Peter play with the toy. His ears. Wendy, you're not even using it. Let him
He has played already with it in the afternoon, though, so.
Yep, she's off. Sometimes these live streams, I just look so unpopular with the cats. I'm like, no, I got cat business. Oh well.
Probably thinks you're giving her. You can give her some toothpaste if you want. She loves it.
Okay.
She doesn't need her teeth brushed, but she loves it. I think she loves it so much.
The
It's
enzymatic toothpaste, this
Salome as well
loves
loves it.
it kind of coats it more than anything, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
a protective film over their teeth.
Yeah, you don't really need to brush it. As long as the teeth are covered, then it should work, which helps.
Toothpaste time.
Salome thinks teeth are so good because they love the toothpaste.
Good job, girl. Oh, you're a sweetheart. Does Teddy like it?
Not much, but he needs his teeth brushed because they are really, his breath smells a lot. So his teeth are not great.
Oh, do you want some more toothpaste? Look what a good girl you are. Oh, Sal, I'm not going to give you more because it's not food. That was a little like, I am not interested in your love. Give me toothpaste. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Say, well, look how such good teeth I've got.
Look at what a cute face I have. I'm adorable. She is adorable. I feel like she's like a Pixar cartoon of a cat. Sal. Okay. Let's see if we can find our Tinkerbell. Did you want some, Wendy? No.
Wendy wants some, but she knows it might be a medicine. She's really smart. So
I may not want that.
even if it smells like fish, it's no.
No. Yeah, this is our cat toothpaste. We've tried a few different things with cat teeth brushing. The wipes, the brushes, the toothpaste.
Yeah, we had to start with the gel because the gums weren't ready. So if we start brushing teeth for new cats, we need to start with the gel and then wipes.
I'm not going to win
I
this.
think.
Tink is, she's got a pigeon in her toilets. Now I just have cat toothpaste. Tink! Oh dear. No, riveting live stream action right here. Just a cat watching some birds. Rodney's looking ready for a close-up though.
Yeah. Hey, Rodney.
Hey, buddy.
It's not a fun of the toothpaste. Too sharp. Hey, Rodney. Hi, handsome.
Cool. Well, now that I have a big chunk of toothpaste, I'm going to get to Salome after all. And I think we will...
Maybe Peter might.
Peter
Well,
take it?
if he's in the mood.
Small, delicate. Oh, thanks, Pete.
Yeah, Peter, Wendy and Tinkerbell, very good teeth. Very clean.
Good stuff, guys. Well, I would imagine Wendy would have very clean teeth because she scoffs all of the dental food. So we've had to take away dental food in the cafe because it's all Wendy will eat. She'll pick the dental food out from the mixture. We'd mix indoor food with dental food. And she would eat only the dental food, which is unfortunately the higher calorie food. So we had to take it away for a while because she's a little bit more round than we would like. So hopefully she's starting to drop a little bit. Although we have noticed since the weather began to warm up that the cats are actually leaving quite a bit of food. So we're reducing all their food intakes as well. They always put on a bit of weight over the autumn and winter and then they drop it again. So they'll all start looking more svelte again. That's all that I'm giving you, mate. Don't look at me like that. You're cute. Alright, well that's our live stream for today. We'll sign off here so that Laura can get to her very important cat playtime duties. And we'll see you next week on YouTube again. We're also going to start hopefully releasing our new, much more organised videos soon. So yeah, if you've got any particular cat care issues and you'd like to know how we deal with them and what we've learned from our cats, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us some comments, like our videos, and just give us some feedback so that we can make content that you are interested in and that you like. Cool. Thanks so much everyone and have a lovely rest of your evening. Bye!
I don't know.